Hey, it's Mack with PriceActionTradingSystem.com. It is Thursday. It is December 17th. This will be our chart lesson for today and probably be the last one for the week. I doubt I'll do one tomorrow. Um, the weather's supposed to be really nice here. If it's not and it's raining or whatever, something changes. But I think the weather's supposed to be really beautiful here in the next few days. So I will probably not be doing a chart lesson. While I'm thinking about it, let's just look at the calendar. I will probably trade Monday, maybe Tuesday of next week, and then I will be taking off probably all through the end of the year. I may come in and do a random chart lesson, just see what the market's doing and do that. But generally, I don't trade um, the week of Christmas and the week of New Year's. I usually take those couple of weeks off a year, and the market will be slow. Doesn't mean there won't be movement. Um, doesn't mean that you can't trade those days, but for the most part, it will be really slow. So probably will not, especially right around from a day or Christmas Eve on till after the first. Uh, so I will actually I'm trying to think when I'll be back. I'll be back in the office ready to go January 4th for sure. So, but anyway, I will be in the office Monday for certain, and maybe Tuesday, and then I'll let you know from there. But again, if you're looking for a chart lesson, probably from the 23rd through the 1st, there won't be any. I'll be taking those days off, and you probably should too. Like I said, there might still be some movement. This is really today was really the last couple of days have been some pretty good movement considering that we're heading into the Christmas week here in the U.S. So next week it'll probably slow down quite a bit though. But again, I'll be here for sure Monday. So I'll see you on Monday, and then we'll kind of play it by ear from there. But once I do leave for the year, I won't be back until Monday the 4th. So just make a note of that if you're looking for a chart, the daily chart lesson here on YouTube or whatever. But it's all downhill today. Um, we had a what this looks like to me is a spike in a channel here, and there's a two-tiered channel, and then we got a break here. You can see the break of this channel, made a new low, and from there, and really from about here, 10 o'clock or so on, it was just sideways a trading range. And then similar, notice we had a little failed break lower, and then the big failure came out the top, and we went lower. Where yesterday we traded up into one of these, we failed out the bottom, um, and then went higher. Where today we failed out the top and went lower, and that's we traded down into this one. And just to go back and you can see here's the one from yesterday. We kind of went sideways and we failed out the bottom and went higher. But we traded up into this trading range. Prices came from way down here, um, and are actually from down here. And then today we traded down into this one and we failed out the top and went down. And that's pretty standard. Nothing's 100%, but generally the rules that we try to follow with price action will come into play 90% or more of the time. And so if you follow them consistently, you're going to come out on the top more times than not. You still want to get a price action setup up here, but that's what you should have been looking for or expecting. Another thing, I would have measured this right here. When we went lower from there, I would have looked for a measured move, and you can see we pretty much had a perfect measured move. But we had this little channel working lower, and we had a break of it, and we had another move down. But after that, I would have measured this leg right here, and then looked when we started going lower. I would have looked for a measured move there, and you can see we pretty much had it. We ended up pushing a little lower, but if in case we did go lower, I would have measured the whole thing as well and looked for that as a possibility. We just didn't, we ran out of time before that. But I would have used this one first, and then secondly, if we kept going lower, I would have measured the whole thing. Um, that would have got you short all the way into the close of the day, and that we pretty much never really bounced after that. So pretty interesting day. Really, this last big move came after the 2 o'clock hour. So it's doubtful any of these would have kept a runner that you could have caught any of that. But if you were still trading, there's definitely a setup here. So, but let's back out, talk about the trades, and wrap this week up. There are a good many trades today, and it was really all downhill early on. Really all downhill most of the day. Once we went into this, there's a couple of longs in there, and there's a couple of green ones that are possible longs too. We'll talk about those. First trade I saw, was tempting to go short right there, but that's just a first entry. This is really your signal bar. Let me make this a little bigger. This green bar here, but notice the trend line working up. We did have a channel working up a break, a new high, and you got this revert. Here's a reversal pattern. Look how we went right through the EMA. We didn't really get a lot of support on it. We pulled back. You could treat this like a failed second entry long almost, because notice the new high, pull back first entry, pull back second entry, but it got more than 4 ticks. It wouldn't have failed, but you could have treated it like one. But I still didn't like it because you got the little trend line working up, and that's the first break, and you're probably going to get an attempt to test that high, even if it's not going to be successful. And it's not successful, and it fails up and turns down. Just go short right there, put you a stop, or let it break lower and then put you a limit order, and it even would have come back on this bar and filled you before going lower. So that's a nice setup right there, and I would have skipped that one. And I don't like this one. This one, you could have treated this like a failed second entry long, but look at that support right across there. You cannot go short right into that. It's just too strong. So I don't like that one, but this is actually a breakout pullback short right here, and I like it because everything's still working lower. But watch what happens right here. It breaks lower, it comes back up and tests it, and then turns down. And so I like going short right there, because you figure this is looking like a range early on, and you've got a two-tiered channel working lower here. This was easy to find this up here if you just pulled it off these two low swings and pulled it up. Originally, I had it right here, and it looks like we might have been having a break, but it just, something didn't look right about it, and so I moved it over, and you can see that it fits real nicely there, and you don't get your break till down here. That's the way I saw it, and this turns out to be a midline, so the fact that we've got another line down here means we're probably going to push on down, and so I like that little breakout pullback short. And the reason I didn't like this one was because of that support right across there. But you can see this bar, it tried to get back through and it closed on this side. And that's what you kind of want to see, it pull back and it hold. And also you're looking at this point, here's your first leg down, and you're looking for that too, and so that's right there. And you can see how we kind of started finding, the smart traders are buying right in there. It ends up going lower, but they're exiting right in there. That's why you get a little hesitation, because that's what smart traders know, this stuff, and that's what they're just going to go ahead and exit and take their money. But notice how we start closing below the EMA. I didn't like going short again until here. This really was the first test of the EMA from the underside, and then you get a double test of it and it holds. So then I like going short here. You still got a lot of room to down here. There's not much room to that low, but you got to figure we're going to this line, and we may be going all the way down here. So I like that one. It's borderline. The main reason I don't really want to make it that I did leave it red is because you get the test of that EMA, and this is like a double test of it, and it holds both times. So I like going short there, and that's a quick, easy move that drops down. You can't go short here because, again, you're right into support. So just skip that one, and it would have worked, but notice it bounces pretty quickly, and that's why you got to avoid those, because that's generally what's going to happen. And there's just stacked across there, and plus we just came off the low side, so that generally is going to push you to the high side. And we push a little bit lower, and then we bounce, and now you got a trend line working up. You can't go short there. That's your first break, and this is not a very good signal bar. It's the first you don't it's the first break of this shorter term one. So we're probably still going to test the low, but you need a better setup than that. And so then it comes up and you get your second entry right here, and that's a nice bearish bar. You get those first two bars, and it comes back and tests the trend line again. I like that one. You might consider using a limit order there. It would have broke lower and come back up because it didn't close right on its low, but that's a pretty fairly bearish bar. Let me move that. It is stacking up a little bit there, but notice how it breaks higher, so that's like a trap, and then this one pushes below that one. So, but rather than going short below this bar, wait on this one and let it break lower, and then maybe try a limit order to get a little better entry, or just you could really just put your stop there. It's a second entry, and it's a nice bearish bar, and it comes back and would have filled some limit orders, and then it takes on off. And I'll see if people try to enter on this one. You don't want to enter on that one. If you didn't enter up here, you're way too late here. And if you enter right there, notice you probably wouldn't have got out before it bounces. It may not have taken your stop out, but you don't want to sit through that. You got to get in back up here where you're supposed to. So fairly nice little setup there. And then it comes back right here, and there's actually another little short-term trend line coming up right up through there. And this is your first break of it, but this is more the way I played this was this support right across here, and treated it like a little failed break. And you could have even used this one, and it breaks below that one. But this is where we were kind of finding the support across there, and it pulls back and tests it. But the main thing is it pulls back and it tests this trend line, and it confirms it. And notice what happens. You get a break above that bar, and it turns and goes out the other one, all in the same bar. So I like that one, that setup, and well, I never did show you the trend line either. And you got that trend line working right up through there. And even though, so you get a close outside it there, push to a new high, and a chance to go short as well. So you get the break of your shorter term trend line as well. But the main reason I like it is it's notice that little matching double top, and it breaks one tick higher and turns and goes right out the other side. Look how bearish that bar is. You don't even have to wait on this one to close. Just have your stop below that one, and if it goes through, let it ride. If not, you can let it break below this one and put your limit order back up here. And it came back up and hit that a couple times. Now, whether or not a limit order would get filled, I don't know. So it's possible if you were in there early, but probably not, and you probably would have watched this one go without you. There's a second entry short there. Notice there's a new low, first entry, second entry, but look how flat that is. At that point, you weren't sure if you didn't have a trend line right. If this wasn't what this is a spike in a channel. And it turns out that it's a two-tiered channel. And you can see it there, but I wasn't sure that the support wasn't across here yet. So you can't go short there. It wouldn't have worked anyway. You look at all that support right across there. You don't want to be going short there. Or actually, we were talking about this one. I'm sorry. You're right into that support across there. It's a low of the day. It's flat. Don't go short there. It would have worked, but just skip it. Then you make a new low, first entry, pull back, and you get a nice second entry short back up here at the same place, and this one takes off like a rocket. And you runners would have been good the whole 9 yards. And so that's why you got to be patient. There's always going to be another trade that comes along, and this is a sure thing here. This is a great setup. Notice your trend line there. You get a break, a new high. It comes right off the key entry point, and we actually get a little break right here. So, and notice we'll move to a new low, and then we go sideways from there. So this was one of the best trades of the day. And then watch what happens here. And the fact that we went right on through that tells you that there's probably another trend channel line down here that's an equal distance to this on down. And so find that distance and draw this line and look for that to be your target. And notice what happens. And you still got this two-tier channel working lower, and that's the first break. So we're probably going to at least test this low. But if you got an equal distance, we're probably headed to it. And you get a second entry. Excuse me. You get a second entry right here. This was not a very pretty signal bar, so you don't want to go short below that, except for the fact that it went higher first and then turns out and goes down. I like that for a short because you know you got people trapped. And you got a trend line working up through here. And you might have even drawn it a little flatter like so. But you don't get a close out of it like that. I originally had it drawn like that because that's your channel right there. Everything's inside. And you get a close outside and a move to a new high. So that's how I had it drawn. You could have drawn it like that, and I'm not going to say that was necessarily wrong. But you can't really get it to fit real well. I guess maybe it doesn't fit. I mean, you could see it that way. But you still get the second entry, and then look how bearish that bar is. You could wait on a break below that one and put your limit order back up here. Or you could just use a stop there. I wouldn't be afraid to use a stop right there, to be honest with you. But if you did use it, wait for it to break below that and move a limit order back up here where your original stop would have been. Notice it comes back and fills it. It actually would have filled it back almost to the very top there, and then it turns down again. I like entering here because of the way it's set up. It's a second entry, and it went higher first and then turned down. It's right at the EMA. We're still looking for a new low. We still haven't reached the low down here. There's a lot of reasons to think prices are headed down here. So I like it. And then look what happens. I drew this one green because I don't like the signal bar. It's an inside bar to a big bullish bar. It closed about halfway in. But it's a second entry short, counting off the high. And this thing has been bearish enough that you're probably going to test this low here. But there's some reasons to think, hey, we could come up here and touch this before we go lower. But the fact that we didn't get down there from here, really, and notice how we didn't really get any resistance there. It just shot right through. That's giving you a lot of clues that this is probably an equal distance two-tiered channel. And so you're looking for it to go there. There's pros and cons about this one. So it's green. I think you're better off to skip it. But there's some reasons to still want to take it. And we shoot to a new low, so we get the new low off this one. We bounce a perfect equal distance, and now it's headed up. And look what happens here. And we just came off the low. We've had a break of this shorter term two-tiered channel. So you got to be thinking now we're headed to the other side. So this is where you got to expect, hey, we may get a failed second entry short and a reversal. You're working up, first entry, pull back, second entry. And this still would have worked. Notice you kind of get a little close outside. It's real iffy and a new high. So there's some reasons to think you might want to go short there. It is off the EMA. And it would have worked, and it went higher first and went down. So you probably could make it green again, but I don't think you want to go after that big a move. And I think we had a measured move here at this point, down to this point. We're coming off the low side, so you probably could have taken that short. But at this point, I'm looking for the reversal, and we get it right here. So I want to go long right there, and figure we're going to ride that back up to the upper. And this is one of the few longs today. And there's even some arguments to say you wouldn't want to go long here because we could have hit that EMA and turned back down. But we were way overdue for a little bit of a correction. And and there's actually a little double bottom there too. And even right here, there's enough room to get out before you get back to the EMA, just barely. But it just keeps on going. And it pulls. Then you get your break, a push to a new high. It just does make a new high, and that's a second entry short because this is a double bottom, so you can treat that like a new low. Pull back, first entry, pull back. Actually, there's a second entry right here, but you wouldn't have wanted to go short right there. But when it pushes higher, this is still part of that same push up. So you could. This is the same thing as a second entry, and nice big bearish bar, and look at it go. And you get a break here. I like going short again here because that's the first break of this little channel, and you figure we're probably going to test this low again. And the main thing is you got this resistance across here now, and we close right there, and we get that one little tick, and it goes out the other side. I don't think you want to enter that way. I think you want to wait for this bar to close and then put a stop there. And then you get a failed second entry long, and look at that bearish. It's like I mean, anytime prices trade that high and then turn and pushed all the way back down, that takes a lot of selling. Go short right there. And this one just drops straight down. You can't get short down here because now you've got a double bottom from this one and this low, and you get a little failed break lower. But I don't think you want to risk going long yet either until it pushes one tick lower right there. And guaranteed, there's people that don't know any better. They're going to go short right there because they've missed a lot of these other ones, and the market keeps going lower, and they think I'm going to get on next time, and they're too scared to get on up here where you're supposed to, and so they get on down here and they get trapped and it reverses. And I really don't like going long here yet. There's not really a good reversal pattern yet. There's some reasons to consider that one. It's a huge bar, so I'm going to make it green, but I just don't think you want to go long there. You get your reversal pattern here. Notice the new low, pull back first entry, pull back second entry, and it confirms that trend line. It's a nice reversal bar. There's still enough room to get out of for these highs, so I like that one. Then it pulls back once, pulls back twice, and so you get a lot of support there, but you still got this resistance here, so you got to be careful of that. So there's some reasons to go long, but there's some reasons to be afraid of that one. But there's some, because there is all that support there, and we're trending up, and that's the first break. There's a chance we're going to get a new high, and if you consider that, there's enough room to get out. And at that point, you might have still had this right along there because you're getting more touches and closes there. So there's some reasons to consider that one, but I think it's aggressive, and so that one's green. It would have worked, and then look what happens here. Now you've had your break, a new high, tries to go higher once, it pulls back and it gives you a little lower high, and then it tries to go up again and fails, and instantly turns down and goes out the other side. Have your stop waiting there. That's a nice little trap. And you figure this is going to be a failed break out of this, across this resistance here, and that's what you get. Then it pulls back, gives you a second entry counting off the top, but you don't have a very good signal bar. But then it pushes higher one more time and breaks higher, and then turns and goes down the other side again. So you get a failed second entry long. It confirms, you got 3 touches of the trend line. It confirms it, and this is a big bar. So even if you didn't do it, have your stop here below the green bar when it went higher and turned down, you could wait on it to break below this bar and drop a limit order back up here if you wanted to, and it would have come back and filled it. So there were different ways to get in that one. And once it got going, look at it go. And where do you think it's probably heading? It's probably heading to the lows down here. And then pull back first entry, pull back second entry. And this one is actually your signal bar, so you can't go short below that one. But when this one sets up and prices break below it, you could drop a limit order back up here if you wanted. It's still a pretty big bar. It's late in the day. It's right before it's actually right in the 2 o'clock hour. So I probably wouldn't take it, but it's a setup. and it's right off the trend line, and you figure we're coming down here anyway. So if you wanted to take that one, you could. And that was it. That got you well into the 2 o'clock hour. And, this is another nice trend that you could have drawn your own. This is the first break of this channel right here. And, it's heading lower, and you probably going to have you can see your little shorter term trend line, and you get a break and a couple of legs to a new low. That would have been a nice little trend to trade right there if it was any time except after 2. I like it. Um, and you're looking for prices to make a new low anyway. And if you followed the original measured moves I showed you, it was on down there. So, and there's another way you could work on this one too. You could measure your channel here, which I forgot to mention that one. There's your channel for the most part. Measured move puts that down to here, and that would have given you another target as well. And you might even want to measure this one from like so, because you would have moved it a little bit after these last adjustments up here. I actually like it like that right there now in the end. And you get your measured move. And you can see that's where we pretty much got to, and it bounced. It still went lower than that, but you had your bigger pattern measured move down there too. But that's how you find these possible targets. And you don't want to trade off of those, but if you're in a runner or you're managing a runner, you can use that to help keep you in the trade. You can use those to help keep you in the trade. So good trading day. Been a great week, be honest with you. I had a really good week this week, and I'm glad I needed it going into the Christmas and not going to trade for a couple of weeks. So it's always nice to have a little extra money at Christmas time. So I hope you've had a good week. Hope that your trading's been well, and that if you trade tomorrow, I hope you have a good day tomorrow. I'll probably come in, trade a couple of hours, and then I will leave early, and then I won't be back till Monday. So again, most likely no chart lesson tomorrow on YouTube. But I'm going to wrap it up. That's about it for today. Hope you had a good trading day. We'll be back again to do it Monday. But I'm out of here for this week. This is Mack with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and we'll see you next time.